Hey guys, Kate McGoy here with Six Figure Freelancers. Part of our expert series today, instead of bringing you a freelancer traditional sense, I'm bringing you Shlomo Freund from Free Financial Self. And Shlomo spends his time teaching freelancers how to create financial freedom and independence and take care of their finances. And I'm super excited to have you here with me, joining me from Israel. Shlomo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hey, Kate. Great being here. I'm now in Israel, though like many other freelancers, which are location independent, so do we. So we are a location independent family.
That's amazing.
So just like on our brief chat before the recording, we've been to several places, and we're going every day. Every few months, we're going for a few months somewhere. We travel there and we spend time with their daughter there. So yeah, that's our lifestyle now.
It's so amazing, and I think it's even more rare or unique for families to be on the road. So I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit about that. But can you give us a quick intro into Free Financial Self and how you came into that particular platform or business?
Sure. So what I do is I help freelancers and solopreneurs to get control over their finances, so it's no longer a distraction and a point of stress. That's the thing. We all want to have control over our finances, for sure. The question is how you do that. And I find particularly that freelancers have this struggle of most audiences, which they don't have financial stability. That's the thing.
I agree. I think it's a real problem. And, part of why I'm in business is to try and help creative people understand that you can be profitable as well as creative. So I love what you're doing there, because I would love for freelancers no longer to be like that dirty word that like you're a freelancer, you must be a starving artist. I'd like to put that term to bed. So how did you come into working with freelancers or focusing on the financial aspect of that?
So I'm an entrepreneur for the past 15 years or so. I've been creating several businesses. We lived in China for 3 years, but that was already a couple of years ago, and I have a company there. And after, now that I'm no longer involved in that company, I have time and I decide, okay, what will be the next thing that I want to build? And since I was little, I was very, very interested in finances. As a little child, the financial section of the newspaper is the one that I opened first, and until today I do that. Though nobody reads newspapers anymore, actually. But but the thing is that I was always interested in that, and for the past 15 years or so, I've been educating myself, and I've been investing and saving and looking more into more financial options out there to build my wealth and how to be more sustainable for myself and now my family. So the personal finance aspect of that is something that I'm very passionate about. Again, as I said, since I was a child. And over time, even when I was working on other startups, so friends and family kept asking me about different financial things, like, should I invest in this? What I should do with that? So yeah, now I build my passion. That's the thing.
That's amazing. I love that so much. So when you work with freelancers, what does your process typically look like? Like, how do you help somebody that's maybe not so strong on the financial side get started on the path towards, financial freedom?
So the thing is this is really a process, because yes, we all want to have $100 million at the bank, or more or less, whatever. But the thing is that we all want to be we don't want to worry about our money, okay? But the thing is that it has to be linked to how you really see your life. So the first thing that I do with people is really thinking and about their future life and how they want to design it. That's a very important aspect. So if you want to live in, let's say, New York City, and now you're 40 and you want to do this at 50, then we have to address your finances different than if you want to retire at 55 in Chiang Mai in Thailand. Okay, that's a different thing. So, but these two things need to really be linked together. So that's the first thing that I'm working with people. Like, what's your vision? Where are you going to?
Excellent.
The second thing is getting control over and improve your numbers. What are your numbers? How much you're making every month? Is your cash flow positive or negative? If it's negative, how can we make it positive? What's your net worth? I teach people how to calculate their net worth so they can actually track. And I actually have on my blog on Free Financial Self, I do a monthly net worth report that I do for myself so people can see how I'm doing. Last month was good, but the month before was horrible, but that's part of life and people need to understand that. Yeah. But then I analyze like what went up, what went down, and this is how I track over what I do, and that really helps me to really focus like what's working, what's not working. The next thing is execution. Okay, after we've designed your life, we know what are your numbers, then you need to do ABC. What are these ABC? And I will help you to go through those ABCs. That's very, very important. And the last part, this one is more of an ongoing thing, because people would say, okay, I'm thinking of something now, but in 20 years it'll be different. And I agree, you're right, things change, but it's better to have some kind of a plan than no plan. So the fourth part is actually adjusting and tracking your plan, and then change it if needed. That's the basic process.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. We do a lot of visualization stuff in the Six Figure Freelancers paid program as well, because I believe you need to know what it is you want, and then you can backwards design that future. So I think that's fantastic.
Works for finance as well.
Genius. I love it. So tell me a little bit about your life as, you're kind of a freelancer, you're a solopreneur, correct?
On this company, not the other one. I have a company with employees in China. Yeah.
I see. So with that, what have you learned on your location independence journey that might be really valuable for somebody that's maybe thinking about doing something crazy like traveling the world and running a business? What would your number one piece of advice be?
I think that many people think that they can't do it, and they actually can. And to be frank, really easily. I can't say like it's like that. It's not, but it's a process of you need to get used to this and do it. But at the end of the day, as much as you prepare, eventually you have to jump in the water.
Absolutely.
And that probably would not be as overwhelming as you think. Things will just be fine. That's my best advice.
It's great advice. Just do it.
And I'm saying this because we're now traveling with a 2-year-old, okay? So people think, no, I'll never travel with kids. Like, no, right. That's horrible. It's like, and yes, there are challenges there. And as she grows up, there are more challenges. But, it's working, and we had wonderful time in Chiang Mai. We had wonderful time when we were in Portugal. We had wonderful time when we were in the US. It works. You just need to do it, and you adjust. And there are ways also financially you can support yourself to do that. So every time we live in New York, every time that we leave our house for a few months, we rent it out. That obviously helps to pay our trip. If you go to Thailand or any other low-cost place, then even a large sum part of that trip. So that's definitely possible. Yeah. We sometimes even rent our car. We find ways when we travel. There are many things and that you can deliver items for people when you're going overseas. So that's obviously saves a lot on the finances. So there are a lot of options out there that can actually make this happen.
I love that. So some really great advice in there. And then what do you have any tips from the actual business standpoint of things in terms of running a location independent business? How do you connect with new clients when you're in a new city on a regular basis? What works for you?
It really depends. What's your business? I'm totally online, so it doesn't matter for me where people are coming from. I'm doing everything with the Skype and the internet. Though I do live in Israel, so when I'm speaking with Israelis, so they're asking me, so are you working with Israelis? And I'm like, not necessarily. But so people do expect that. They're still looking for that connection. I agree. So it will be easier if you have your clients in that same city, but because you're location independent, and I assume that people would not stay for 5 years in the same place and like building their network only there, then they should have a really good online presence. That's the best solution out there.
So do you do any specific, do you have any web marketing strategies that have worked really well for you in terms of, social media or paid promotions? Like, how do you get the word out that you're even here? How do people find you?
So what I do now is three things. One is I have a live Q&A session on Instagram that I do every week. The second thing is that I publish on LinkedIn every week 1 or 2 videos with questions that I get from people. So I'm actually, after we finish this, I have to record 2 of those. So they will be up in the next week, but there are already almost 30 of them, between 20 and 30 of them. Wow. And the last thing that I'm offering free financial strategy assessment calls for people who really want to really see how they can really go on with their finances, being more stable. So I can give that advice and really assess what's going on in their lives.
Awesome. That's so fantastic. I love it. So let's see, what else haven't I covered that you think somebody who is thinking about doing this crazy, freelance thing, potentially going location independent, what would you tell that person that's sitting in their cube right now, other than just do it?
Okay, just do it is very general, right? So what is the action plan? So you do need to prepare. I'll tell you what I do before we are going for a trip. So first of all, I'm looking at all our assets that we have. So this regards as our house. Okay, so we will rent it out. This is something that you definitely can and should do. Like, why not? And people say, "Oh, I have my stuff." It's like, come on, lock one of your rooms with all your stuff in, and everything will be okay. It's like. Yeah. So you can do that. You can also rent out your car. That's another thing that you can do. So check that. Then you go and plan your trip. So there are a lot of low-cost websites out there that you can really travel really for cheap. And you don't always have to take this 7 suitcases that would cost you so much money. So just travel light. Like, one of our principles generally in life is being minimalist. I mean, we live in a pretty small place. We don't have a lot of possessions. And even when we have something, then we make sure that we can move that by ourselves. I mean, except maybe the refrigerator and the bed that we don't have an option for. But like all the rest, like we don't have like heavy stuff and you have to bring a mover and all that. We don't do that. So it's like, these are boxes, they go in a car and go on. So actually, in a general advice in life is like being minimalist. Also, when you travel, that's so much better than carrying your life on your back.
I love it.
What else? Your finances. But this is, this is not only for travel. The thing is that freelancers should be really thinking about their personal finances as early as possible in life. I don't say, I'm a freelancer, I don't have money now to invest or save or anything. The compounding of your money over the years would help you so much in 20, 30 years from now. You can't see it now, but when you make these simple calculations, they're on my website, you can find them yourself as well. You can go to this calculator, you'll see how much that really can help. Even that tiny bit that you're saving right now. Start looking at investments options. Start looking how I'm saving more. Stop buying those lattes on Starbucks. They're a waste of money. And Starbucks is not great. Just like do all these things. All these things adds up. And even if that you can't see it now, they're very, very valuable over time. Even if you're renting your house or the room or whatever for $40, $50 a night or even less. I mean, that's $50 now, but that's a lot of money in 30 years. So think about that.
So invest early, I think, right?
Invest early. Oh yeah. Invest early and try to find how to save as much as possible. But keep your lifestyle well, and being location independent doesn't mean expensive lifestyle. It actually means a cheaper lifestyle, in my opinion, especially in some countries.
Yeah, it certainly depends on where you're from, but yeah, generally speaking, I agree.
But you'll be surprised. Okay, so we were in Portugal for 2 months, and and I thought, it's a European country, and that won't be as cheap as being in Thailand. And yes, that's correct. But we were surprised. I mean, I think that trip of 2 months cost us close to zero. Like,
really,
with everything that we made and everything and all the expenses, and there are other things as well. I have a post about this, but if you're adding everything up, it wasn't expensive at all. So even you'll be surprised what's the hacks you can have in order to have this kind of location dependent lifestyle, and even in like those expensive places or semi-expensive places, let's say this.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been really interesting, and I think you've kind of touched on it throughout our talk. It's like we tend to build things up into being really, really hard and challenging and scary. And then once you actually do it, it's like, oh yeah, this is really not that hard. Like, I obsessed about packing before I started remote ER. Like for months, it was like, how am I going to deal with everything in the back, in a single bag? Like 2 months on a suitcase. And now I can pack in like 15 minutes. And it's just like, you're going places with stores.
Amazing stores.
Right? Yeah. It's like you don't need everything. And I started with 60 kilos close to of luggage and electronics and all of that stuff. And now I'm down to 15.
Okay.
I do miss having multiple pairs of shoes. I only have like 2 pairs of shoes right now, but it's amazing what you can get by. And so I think that minimalism is really great. And I'm glad that you touched on that. And I'm really glad that you touched on savings, because I think that's really important, and financial freedom and investment. So I have one last question for you, just because everybody right now, particularly in the digital nomad space, is talking about Bitcoin. So is Bitcoin a good investment, or is it the future bubble?
Okay. So
in your opinion.
It's not the first time I'm asking this. I've been asked this. I don't think Bitcoin is a bubble, but to look at it at this point as an investment is very, very volatile and risky. So yes, I've heard of people that putting a lot of money into this, and yes, they made a lot of money, but at the same time, they could lose a lot of money at that thing. So you really can't know. Gotcha. What I do and what I recommend other people is that if you really want to go into this, go in small amounts, something that you'd still be able to sleep at night. Yes, go in that carriage. I mean, yeah, it has a good future, but don't invest more than what you really can and feel comfortable with. Right. I'm saying I also don't want to miss that carry. So I also have money in Bitcoin, but I'm not putting everything there. I have real estate, I have stocks, and yes, I have Bitcoin and I have other things. But that's part of our portfolio. That's also something that people need to think about. So something goes up, something goes out. Read that monthly report of the net worth that I have. It's right there. Everything is there about that.
Great. Well, it's a perfect place to tie up. So if people want to connect with you, the best way to do that is to go to freefinancialself.com, correct?
Yeah. You can go there and you can send me a message and maybe schedule a free financial strategy assessment. I love to speak with more freelancers and try to help anywhere I can. Other ways you can connect and love to is on Instagram, come to the live session and ask your questions, or ask your questions on LinkedIn. Can I type in my name or go to the Free Financial Self page and ask your questions there? You'll be featured.
Awesome. And when is your Instagram live again? When?
That's a weekly one. That's a weekly one on Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays. All right. Wednesdays weekly on Instagram. Fantastic.
And also weekly ones on LinkedIn. So, but they're not live. You can't do live yet.
Right. Yeah, no, not yet. Well, thank you so much. I think you've given us some really great tips and some really great information and inspiration. Is there anything else that, last words of wisdom you would like to share with the Six Figure Freelancers audience?
Just start early. It's really, really important. You can't see it, but you have to.
Beautiful. Great advice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you very much, Kate. Great being here.